Hi, and welcome to a video lesson on histograms. Here's what you'll learn: how to make histograms. First, what is a histogram? Well, a histogram is just another way of displaying data. It's like a bar graph that uses wide bars to show the frequency of data in equal intervals. So a histogram is nothing more than a bar graph of a frequency table, with each bar representing the same interval. Now please note, I'm going to be utilizing a frequency table in this presentation, but it's not necessary to know what they are to understand this material. If you want to know more about frequency tables, please view my lesson titled Frequency Tables. Now let's go ahead and make our histogram. The frequency table on the left shows groups of bowling scores for the first game played by league bowlers on Thursday night. We want to make a histogram of the data. The first thing we should do is understand the data in the table that we have to graph. So take a look at the first column labeled bowling scores. As you go down that column, you'll see groups of 10. Scores from 90 to 99, 100 to 109, 110 to 119, and so forth. Equal intervals of 10. On the second column, that's the frequency, how often somebody scored in that group. That's why this is called a frequency table. The first column of data are normally plotted along the horizontal or the x-axis, while the second column of data are normally plotted along the vertical or the y-axis. First thing we should do is start labeling our axes. Let's do the horizontal one first. Distribute the first column of data along the x-axis. Have a space for 90 to 99, 100 to 109, 110 to 119, 120 to 129, and 130 to 139. They should be distributed evenly along the bottom of your chart. And once you do that, label the data on that axis, and that happens to be bowling scores. Now we want to label the y-axis. We always start at the bottom at 0, so put a 0 down at the bottom. Then the next thing we should do is count the number of lines available in our graph for graphing the frequencies. So let's go ahead and count the number of lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 lines available. Now we look in the frequency column, we see the largest number we have to graph is a 4, so we can just count by ones up our graph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll be sufficient. Now we have to label the data on that axis as well, and that's just called frequency. Great. Now that the x and y axes are labeled, we can start plotting our data. And you plot bars for a histogram almost the same way you do for bar graphs. There's just one difference. In a histogram, the bars touch each other. This shows that the data flows from one bar to the next. Take a look at the bowling scores column again. We have 90 to 99. Then the second row immediately picks up at 100 to 109. The third row picks up at 110. So it just flows from one bar to the next. That's why they're touching. In the same way a history timeline doesn't have breaks in it, your histogram bars should have no breaks in them. So let's go ahead and start graphing our data. The bar for 90 to 99 would be plotted at 4, so identify 4 on your graph. Then you're going to make a nice wide bar all the way up to 4. And notice as I'm drawing the bar, it does not touch the vertical axis. It's just a little bit to the right of the y-axis. Now let's graph the rest of our data. 100 to 109 occurred one time, so identify 1 on your graph and make a nice wide bar above 100 to 109 that goes up to 1. 110 to 119 occurred 3 times. 120 to 129 occurred 4 times. Nice wide bar above that interval all the way up to 4. And finally 130 to 139 occurred twice. Make your final nice wide bar. And you almost have a histogram. Something's missing. Do we know what? Yes, we need a title. Every graph we make needs a title. Let's call this one First Game Bowling Scores for the Thursday Night League. And there's your histogram. It's just as easy as that. Congratulations! You've learned how to make histograms.